as they slowly, gain that momentum we spoke about.
All right, which map are we going to be playing on? I'm so excited. I'm even jumbling over my own words. Coastline, interesting. Okay, why are you so excited? That's real quick. Our game is pretty much ready.
Because this is banned pretty much constantly by both teams, like for both of the last 2 stages. It's not a team we've seen them play in the last few months, so fresh ground for both, I guess.
This is actually worse for Vitality. Lost to VP, lost to BDS. Not feeling good for Vitality unless that momentum is the upswing.
All right, let's toss it over to our long-lost cousins, Gio and Dev. All yours.
Thanks so much, Milos. Long lost cousins. This is where I have to tell everyone I'm not a real blonde. Look. All right. Well, we're gonna
It's
be.
all right.
Thanks.
I just don't listen to anything Milos says anyway.
No,
so.
that's probably the best way to go about things. We are going to be heading back over to Coastline. Dev, you and I have seen this map already once today in Empire versus Chaos, but this time Vitality versus Na'Vi, and both of these teams have quite a significant point to prove.
Very much so. Both of these teams are in that position on the standings where they could make top 4, go to the major. They could make top 4 for 2020 and go to the finals. But they could also have to fight for their spot through relegation against the number 2 from Challenger League. They're very much in that limbo at the moment, as are most of the teams here in EUL. And a win here is pivotal. This is your second last chance. You better show up here. Coastline is our battleground, and the guys on the desk were talking about how this is the most banned map for both of these teams. We know just about nothing. Vitality haven't played this since the very first Playday way back in June of EUL, where they lost at 7-1 to BDS. That's pretty damning, but of course Vitality have made strides since that point, and it's been a very long time. As for Na'Vi, they didn't play it at all in EUL Stage 1 or 2. They only played it in the UKIN and in Pro League last season, both of which results I wouldn't even really count. So it comes down to right on today. Look at that Vitality banning Mozzie. See you, Joe. Sorry, mate. Have a good time.
It's funny, that kind of snapped me out of my distraction. I was reading the chat between the two teams. Obviously,
They're trying to prevent us from running the Na'Vi skins.
throwing low blows at each other. I mean, it's very true. The Na'Vi Mozzie skin is quite nice as well. And there's one Maya who's going to be coming in as the final ban. And I think one thing worth noting that, as the analyst said on the desk at the beginning, this is a map that both of these teams love banning. They hate coming here. Na'Vi, in fact, I don't believe have played this map at all in EUL.
Yep, very much so. It's uncharted territory for both these teams. So there's no counter strats coming into this really in terms of what do they usually do on Coastline, because they don't usually play Coastline. But we do have some general target bans. So the Ying, classically, people talk about Hungary being probably the most infamous Ying player globally. He played it really well during Ying, the Ying meta, if you will, and also passed it. And it tends to be a fallback operator for Hungary. And we've talked on the desk about how great Hungary has been for Vitality. So nice to just not deal with that whatsoever. The Mozzie also a target ban. I believe it's Joe who usually played it. I think we see Blur on it a bunch as well, if I recall correctly, last week in their cafe game. So overall, a good ban. Also prevents Na'Vi from running their skins, as you can see on screen. Go pick it up for yourself right now. Good on your production for advertising that one. Of course, Vitality also have the Valkyrie skin, which I wonder whether Joe is running that.
I was thinking the same thing. I want to know if Joe's decided to sport it. Maybe he could be running the Cloud9 one just to rub it in his face.
He's not. That's funny. He's got the default. That's a shame. Oh, well. I actually do want to talk about Joe, though, because we mentioned... we were actually having a chat before the broadcast in our DMs, as we often slide. Is Joe going to be once again anchored chained to the bomb site on the Maestro? Is he going to be forced to play super passive? That's the role change that Na'Vi made, and since have been looking much better. Joe, historically, a very aggressive player, but they forced him to play passive and not get picked off too early. Almost the opposite now. He's playing an info operator. He's playing Valkyrie, notorious for jump outs. I wonder whether he's going to have success in these opening engagements or whether he's going to be picked off.
And also Doki playing very aggressively as well. Something we know that he likes to do as he's stationed up here in theater, but he has found himself getting caught out early in opening engagements and not on the side you want to be. He's not going to get away with his life as he follows up a death from Joe and Blur as well. So almost straight away, Vitality are just cleaning up members of Na'Vi, 2 of whom are the last 2 to remain.
Well, my question was answered very quickly. Will Joe keep being the victim of these opening engagements? Yes, he will. He was shut down very early on. 5v2 for Vitality with all the time in the world. The only way that Vitality loses is if Na'Vi can isolate some 1v1s and make some serious plays. Now, it's possible, Saves here with the older, great operator to do it, but Coastline is a map where the attackers can really contain these defenders. In particular, I mean, Vitality have so many options right now. Do they just isolate and try and play for refrags, or do they try and breach and really make it so it's impossible for the defenders to play anywhere safely? I think they're going to go for the latter. They have tons of time. Thatcher ban means breaching the drinks wall. The cocktail wall is going to be kind of difficult, but they could clear off any mute jammers on it and then breach it. They have the time to do that. But you'll see the drones come out in droves, and that's what Vitality are relying on to ensure they don't get caught off guard.
And you can see the saves. Instead of just going for all of those, he tried to peek around, but Fabian on the upside down rappel was ready. Now just Kendrew on his own. As you quite rightly mentioned, Vitality have a ton of time. All 5 of their players up, and they've still got 3 drones out on the field, but they know that he's going to be playing over here on the site. Fabian coming in through the hookah door. Kendrew managed to get a kill. It wasn't enough. Vitality quite comfortably take the first round.
Yeah, very much so. A really effective room clear. Almost a team kill. God, that could have been terrible. One thing I will note, and people often don't talk about this subject, and it's how do you convert a round where you are favored, where you have a 5 versus 2 or a similar man advantage? How do you convert that to a round win? Because we so often see them slip away. I mean, it's statistically, of course, the team that has that advantage is going to convert, but it's so important to make sure you can convert those rounds. If you don't, well, that's a leg back in and a massive mental hit to your team. And I will note that it was a 5v3 or 5v3 with 2 minutes and 7 seconds on the clock. The point in which the next engagement came out, when it became a 5v1, it was over a minute. Vitality slowed down the place completely. They didn't keep pushing and bait themselves and lose out to Na'Vi. They played really slow, really methodically. We saw those drones come out, and that allowed them to punish saves in an aggressive position. I really like that. Just it goes to show that Vitality, they're not taking any chances.
It also kind of harks back to the original concern that we had about Na'Vi at the start of this stage. And that was, if you're playing hyper aggressively and the gamble doesn't pay off, suddenly you've got about half the team left to finish out the remainder of the round for you. And that's part of the reason that they opted to make the role changes, which, if these first 2 rounds are anything to go by, it doesn't look like they're going to be sticking to, as Joe is on Jaeger and once again Saves is on Maestro. So I like the fact that, you know, for example, Doki, he switched over to the Vigil. That's going to make it harder for him to be droned out and get caught out so early in these aggressive engagements. But Vitality can still see him with their eyes if they move into the right part. You know, the risk isn't totally eliminated.
Very much so. It's a reattempt at the same bomb site here. Vitality last time they went for a master push and took second floor map control across. It looks like they've changed their tack here. Trying not to be too predictable. And they're prioritizing the first floor. I wonder if the idea here is to hunt roamers or to get in downstairs and then use a skeleton key to take out those players on site. Fabian was entering in kitchen, finds that first kill very early on onto Blur. That's 2 rounds in a row that Vitality have found the first kill within 50 seconds.
There's also the point of it that, you know, if you come in through the first floor and you've got players up on the second, it kind of forces the defenders to react to that, because otherwise you're leaving other members of your team high and dry. Doki taken out by Rise. Again, another early loss for Doki in those engagements. One of the things that I wondered coming into this game was, you know, Na'Vi, very emotional team. Maybe off the back of a really good win against BDS, they would be riding the momentum. But so far, they don't seem to be doing that.
On the desk, Des spoke about how Na'Vi is not a very strong team on attack, and Coastline is the attacking map. If you can't get your advantage on your attack, then you're really kind of screwed. You got to grit your teeth and get through the plane. Oh my god, another 5 versus 2. Kendrew finally finds a kill. That's the second kill that Na'Vi have found all game, both of which are for Kendrew. And once again, it's these two players to clutch up.
Difficult position. They've got one fewer player to go up against on the side of Vitality, but they're still outnumbered by a factor of 2, and Saves takes a decent amount of damage as he tries to shoot in through the big window, but Goga can go in for the plant. It's a very difficult position for Na'Vi to try and retake, as Kendrew's going to be going for the cool vibe stairs, but Fabian was ready for him. They knew he was right there. Now Saves has just got to try and chug along, as he is, of course, a 3 hammer down below. Could be heard, and Fabian still ready. He knows that he's got limited options for the rotate up, and if he is to attempt to disable the diffuser at all, he's going to have to get upstairs eventually. He can't find the player through the hatch that he wants to get, and time is starting to run out. He's just waiting.
That's the end of it. Surely Goga punishes him here. Saves does not deserve the kill. Vitality's just playing passive. They care more about winning than they do about securing the final kill. Saves that KD, all you like, Saves. I guess that's where he got his name from. It's not going to give you the win. Vitality, let that timer run out to 0, and I hope that Saves and Na'Vi were not just using that for a bit of a KD buffer. I hope they were using that to talk through their problems, because they need to get back on this horse. Vitality are firmly in control here.
It doesn't look like Vitality. It doesn't look like Na'Vi are going to change the rules. One of the concerns that I have to say I have is that we're 2 rounds in, and Na'Vi have succumbed to 2 nade kills so far. But you're bringing Jaeger. Yeah, Wamai's not on the board, but where are the ADS being placed if that is being such a prominent issue?
Yeah, I did manage to actually see where those specific spots were, where the nades kills came through, and whether it was the fact that there wasn't ADS there or whether Vitality had burned it. But yeah, it is a bit concerning, isn't it? Na'Vi, they're a team that likes to play off of gunfights, and when you're getting grenaded, that's certainly not a gunfight, is it? And like, you can be a gunfight player all you like, but if you're getting live droned, you're probably not going to win that fight. That percentage is not on your side. Finally, Na'Vi do change something. Look at that, production is showing us the Vitality set now. Guys, if you want to get a skin of a team that actually wins, you can grab that one on the score. Oh, okay.
Ouch.
I got the other one now. I was trying to go for the... I was going for the roast, but oh well.
If you want to get a skin of a team who's trying to win, you can always go for Na'Vi.
If you want to get a skin on the best Aussie operator in the game, or the best operator who happens to be Aussie, then yeah, grab the Na'Vi skin.
Yeah, because you got loads of those.
Yeah. If you want to grab a skin from the team, the only team to have beaten BDS. Funny fact here. These 2 teams right here, Vitality and Na'Vi, the only teams who in Stage 2 have taken points away from BDS, the Giants themselves. Vitality managed to draw, and Na'Vi took the win. Now that might change. Well, it could change tonight. When, oh my god, another nade kill! And Joe dies again! Oh my god, Death Taxes and Joe dying at the start of the round.
Oh, it never ends, and now Kendrew's got to be feeling some pressure. He threw out the C4 towards Mudroom. Wouldn't catch anybody. Yeah, well, yeah, ain't wrong. Bibu to be taken down by Blur. It's a decent start. Blur found himself caught out very early on in the previous round. But you don't want to judge too much off of 1 kill, because so far Na'Vi haven't been able to convert it into all that much.
Vitality, a slow but steady push here through Sunrise. I didn't manage to see where Bibu died, but that's a 1v1 swinging Na'Vi's way, and that's the 3rd kill they've had over 3 rounds so far. Troubling times here for the Na'Vi roster, but they're looking a little bit better this round, 4v4. It's the first time they haven't succumbed to a 5 versus 2 deficit, and they've got this nice loose roam going. I think it's a good strategy, and with Vitality running out of drones, you'll notice Bibu going down. That's both of his immovable. Fabian's lost both. Goga and Rise 1 each, and that's a nice pick there. Doki goes down, but still only, 4 drones left to find the remaining players. That said, Vitality have taken really good ground here, so I don't think they're necessarily going to get super punished by their lack of drones.
Saves is now having to fill that space because he knows that there's at least one player, that's Rise, out towards the lobby because he called out Doki, but does he know about Hungry, who was just outside the door as well? You put pressure on Doki that maybe even he didn't know about. Kendrew still holding on to the upstairs. He can begin to open up the floor so he can try and hold a vertical angle and prevent someone from coming in through service. That's where we see a lot of plants be made on this site. You did, of course, hear a smoke come out as well. But Vitality so far have been winning the gunfights more often than not, I think it's fair to say. And right now, they hold the man advantage too.
I'm pretty sure Rise is going to go upstairs to pressure that player up top. Indeed, Saves goes down. Wait, no, that was not up top. The player up top's still alive. Goga actually managed to land a few shots on the Kendrew, but once again, he's in a position where he's got a clutch. He's taken out all on Blur. 1v3 as Goga is down. Diffuser in the hands of Rise. Vitality don't even need it. Fabian to clean house. And Vitality 3 straight rounds continuing to look dominant here on Coastline attack.
Vitality just looks so in control. And part of it definitely seems like there are things about their attack that Na'Vi are not fully in tune with. I mentioned the fact that Hungary was situated outside before, so when Doki got caught out by Rise, yeah, he got caught by the guy who was in CCTV, but there was still a player outside that would have made his attempt to pass through lobby even harder. And that's what happened with Kendrew as well at the end. He jumped down, he didn't know that Hungary was still out there. It was a very patient way of playing. You could see that, when you're looking at the players who are on Vitality right now, Fabian is very in, I don't want to say in the sight because it takes some time to get in there, but he's very kind of leading the charge in terms of how deep into the map he is, like how far forward he's pushing. But there's still players from Vitality who are taking kind of all paces. And that's not a bad thing. It means that they are setting themselves up so that when Na'Vi are forced to rotate and they have to make these moves and these compromises, Vitality are in the perfect positions to be able to deal with that. And that's what Hungary was in that last round.
Yeah, Fabian, you're speaking about him. He's actually found the last two opening engagements that previous round, it was with the nade. Really good stuff. It's actually usually Rise who is in most of the opening engagements for this squad. He's currently 3-0. Imagine, look at that, Fabian 7-0. He's like reverse James Bond right now, 7-0. Certainly both players who are very much in their element. Rise, who's really struggled in stage one, very much come back into form and doing a great job in this game just here. We could talk about Vitality all day, but it is Na'Vi who need to step it up right now. Once again, changing bomb sites over to Sunrise. Vitality haven't shown us how they want to attack that, but I think it's kind of a one-size-fits-all for Coastline. You don't have to get too static about the way you attack. You start to generate lines of sight, start to take map control piece by piece, then you hold angles and wait for the defenders to aggress, and it's certainly been countering how Na'Vi want to play.
Yeah, I mean, obviously because Coastline's a rather small map, you want to be taking a lot of space around the map, and you do have the option to do that, whereas you compare it to, some map like Villa where you have to understand you're never going to get absolutely all of the space. And that's why it's also so crucial that you don't lose that control, which is what Na'Vi has been doing so far. And we mentioned that they've been looking so much better on the defense of recent times. If this is how their defense is going, then what do we expect for the attack?
Attack is somewhat more generous on Coastline than on other maps. That said, we were looking at the stats the other day. Coastline's actually still been overall defender favored. I'm going to whip up the stats specifically for... oh, no, EU Stage 2 doesn't even have Coastline in it yet on CGG. That's a damn shame. Oh, well. In APAC, we saw, I think it was 52% for defense. Oh, there's early engagement. No, Blur just dodges away. Glad thing he quick peeked that rather than hard peeking it. But yeah, I'm worried for Na'Vi. You should be winning some attacks, and when they eventually switch over, Joe, hello! Absolutely timed there is Rise, and Joe, can he find another? He does. 2 kills. That is so important. Another player outside office might meet his demise.
Yeah, he looks like he's going to get caught out here. That's exactly what happens. And it was good of Joe to try and take advantage of the situation. Once the logic bomb came out, they kind of chased through to the player who was over in Sunroom, and Joe was right behind, ready to take advantage. But when Goga could get the trade, ultimately it doesn't matter all that much. There is less than a minute remaining, and Na'Vi do still hold the advantage. This is the first time that we've seen this kind of situation, but we also know that Vitality have it in them to just jump in at the last second.
Yeah, that said, I think they're going to struggle to play for plant here because the smoke is still up, 30 seconds left. I think Doki's still got all of them left. You can see both Blur and Kendra are in positions where they can deny plant and blue bar, which is where Vitality got a plant. That's where the diffuser is. And there's Maestro on the board still. This is going to be a very difficult execute. Surely they got to go for kills.
They don't have much of a choice to hang around at this point. Fabian's going to be peeking on through, and there's another one of the smokes. Doki gets a kill, but saves falling down. Just 5 seconds remaining, and Doki, this is where he starts to show up. Kendrew finishes Fabian off at the end, and Na'Vi finally put a round on the board.
Really good late round there from Na'Vi. It was critical that kept that numbers alive into the late round. Joe found those early 2 kills in Office. Admittedly, that was kind of a timing error from Vitality. They had a really good set of drones in through Office, but they kind of ignored the fact. I think as soon as they got off that drone and 2 players started to enter, it was the exact moment that Joe entered Office from Blue Bar. So really unfortunate timing on Vitality's behalf, but they could have punished that. They didn't, and Joe was allowed to find 2 kills for it. That was pivotal because after that point, Na'Vi played hyper passive, and that was what was really important. Vitality had early round taken control of the lobby side of the map. Na'Vi retook that after Vitality rotated away, and with a numbers deficit, Vitality are trying to do this half-hearted Office push where they can't really plant. There's still smokes and Meister up, which basically nullifies any attempt at smoke planting with the Dockerby. Plus, the nail in the coffin, as we like to say, is Blur and Kendrew roaming in lobby with the feet holes in blue bar means they can deny any plant in there as well. Basically no choice for Vitality. They can't plant. They've got to try and go for kills. We saw Fabian desperately trying to get over to Sunrise, but it just ain't going to happen. So great for Na'Vi. First round on the board on the back of early kills plus playing well off that early advantage. But Vitality, they still look like the better team to me.
I think Na'Vi have still got a few rounds to go before they can prove that then the ones who are looking like the better team in this matchup as Vitality still hold on to a decent lead. Now on round 5, Na'Vi returning back to Hookah for the 3rd time already. And this is a site that not only have they failed to hold twice in a row, but they also failed to prevent a plant be made the 2nd time that they came here. And Na'Vi found their roamers caught out in the early engagements. I'm thinking that this is a really risky one for Na'Vi.
Risk is the name of the game for Na'Vi. That C4 flown out over Fabian. Where is Blur at the moment? Did he manage to escape? Indeed, he did. Kendrew as well. I think the key here for Na'Vi is don't take too many of these early engagements. Even if Vitality are fighting for map control, sit around, shoot some drones, and then back off. Don't play for your life because it hasn't been working out. Vitality's been getting these early man advantages. And Na'Vi have shown that if they play passive in the mid to late round, they can stall out and stop and execute. I'm disappointed, though, they've not brought the smoke, which means it's going to be much more difficult to play for that. Hungry, a great shot there, punishing Blur. Another early opening pick with no refrag.
Doki, he does respond with a kill onto Rise as he's playing downstairs and makes a fast rotate away. Vitality having mostly taken control of the east side of the map. And I think this is the right decision. Kendrew's still present in luggage and he might find himself getting droned out in a second, but it means that Na'Vi aren't being too overzealous. I think the second that they start to get overconfident is where they do find themselves getting caught out. And of course, Kendrew, before he has the opportunity to be caught by Vitality, he also rotates back around. This puts Na'Vi in a much better position to work together should Vitality come a knocking.
Selma detonating on the VIP wall. If you were watching the Empire game earlier today, this strategy should seem very familiar. But for me, what's even more important than these Selmas on the VIP wall is the Selmas on the drinks or cocktail walls. That'll expose the position Kendrew is in. I really want to see that from Goga, but there's likely mute jammers on it, and that means Vitality would have to clear underneath, but I don't think that's possible. Hungry's going to try and see if he can shoot a mute jammer, but he can't see one. Potentially a nade could clear it from Fabian, or maybe even an Ash breaching round from Fabian. But wait, is there no mute there? Nope, there's no mute there. Okay, it should be free then. Just chuck your Selmas on the wall, bro.
Kendrew's waiting for a swing. He wants to peek around when he's ready, but Joe will open things up with a kill onto Bibu. This puts Na'Vi significantly in the advantage as only 3 members of Vitality remain, and they're going to have to begin to move in. We've seen this situation before where time ticks out and runs out. Kendrew, he was ready, but Joe with the 2K. Doki finishing things off. A good end from Na'Vi, as Vitality once again just struggled and ran out of time.
I feel like surely there's something I missed in that round, because I don't understand why Vitality would not have breached the drinks walls. It's just so strong at denying that really aggressive position we saw from, I believe it was Kendrew, inside of sight in Cocktail. He ended up swinging. He didn't get a kill in the end because Joe stole them all, but that's okay. Vitality had 2 Selmas left. Goga had 2 in the pocket. Unless if my feed is too compressed to see, I couldn't actually see a mute jammer on that Cocktail wall. So I really don't get why he didn't throw him on. Maybe he assumed there was a mute jammer there and decided not to throw him on because they didn't have time to clear it. Just should have thrown him on anyway, and then that would have forced Na'Vi to do something. I don't know. I feel like Vitality could have won that round. But they didn't. So credit to Na'Vi. It sounds like I'm kind of being really biased here against Na'Vi. I think I'm just biased towards attack on Coastline, especially with Ace on the table. Like you saw me earlier today in the Empire game. I think that Hookah is a really weak side if the attacker plays it well. And I feel like that could have gone Vitality's way. But credit to Na'Vi, they made it work. Joe and Doki, a full house between them. And they've got a chance at redeeming this map now.
Redemption definitely in their sights as they return back to kitchen. Another round that we saw Vitality take before. A lot of that, as I mentioned, was due to the patience exhibited by Vitality. They had Hungry placed outside. But what they didn't do was spend all that much effort trying to take Penthouse. Kendrew was allowed to persist there. He was present on the mirror at the time, so he has changed over to Legion this time. But he was allowed to persist there all the way until the end of the round. Vitality just set themselves up to deal with any players who would then rotate back to site.
Oh, Joe, he needs this fight. He loses it. Fabian, another opening engagement his way, and another one that goes against Joe. It looks like Na'Vi have said, all right, Joe, we'll put you off the leash. You can go and play any operator you want. Go and frag. Take those early fights, but it's not going his way.
And I checked with Hat before this game. Currently, Na'Vi have a 22.2% risk of falling into relegation. They can't really risk having things go wrong, but it does even further. Doki doesn't secure the kill onto Rise. Even if he had, I think there was the chance of him being refragged, and now Vitality have so much more room to play with.
This is starting to look like those early rounds from Vitality. A very, very early man advantage. This could be pivotal, though. A great shot from Blur. Rise goes down. That said, Hungry is here watching the rotation. If Blur gets too greedy in through Blue Bar, he will be punished.
Oh, there's another player of Vitality all the way over in the distance. He's edging closer as well, and Blair's going to take a hefty amount of damage. He's forced out of position, and now he's got 2 of the attackers just pushing onto him. He tries to get 1 kill through the window, but he misses. His exact location given away, and Fabian can just clean him up. Still over a minute remaining, and just 2 players from Na'Vi. Kendrew looking over into Sunrise. Should anyone from Vitality push through this direction? And we can see that there's someone right by the bar, but Kendrew himself is really lacking for health.
They missed him twice. 2 drones just missed Kendrew. He has the 1.5. He could win this fight against Bibu. Already low on HP. He could even get Goga as well. And Saves has the smokes. He's got the perfect operator to clutch this, even if Kendrew dies and drags 1 or 2 with him. He sees the feet, does a lot of damage, reveals his position, but can't secure the kill. A lot of time left for Vitality, and now they have at least some vague info on Kendrew and still droning him out. This is going to have to be huge from Kendrew and Saves to clutch.
Yeah, looks like he's going for a really wide rotation, but Fabian's right above Saves. He's trying to shoot in through the floor as he opens up these holes. As you say, time running out. About 20 seconds are remaining, and Kendrew's headed all the way upstairs so that he can try and get the long angle, but still hasn't found those key kills that they need. Saves takes a lot of damage. He gets a kill onto Goga, but he will be falling for his efforts. And now Hungry and Fabian have so much space to play with. Kendrew tries to come around the other side, but Fabian knew where he was. Another round for Vitality to round out the half.
What a risky play in the 2v1 for Fabian. His teammate planting, his other teammate injured, and Fabian pushes for that kill. He doesn't want it to play out on Kendrew's terms. A risky decision, but one that pays off, and it goes to show the confidence that not only Fabian, but Vitality have, and they end their attacking split 4-2. While that may have seemed like a fairly dominant half for Vitality, Na'Vi definitely have a shot here, managing to salvage 2 defenses. That is huge, and they can definitely come back here, at least for the draw.
All right, time to breathe, recompose yourself, and that's not just Na'Vi, that's me as well. And, yeah. Oh, I know. Vitality starting things off on Kitchen. And Na'Vi, again, I mean, what can we say? They have... I don't want to say it's quite a monolith. It's more like a steep mountain that they're now faced with. They're on their weaker half. And you've mentioned how, you know, on Coastline you expect the attackers to be in more of a beneficial position. But even we found out earlier that the attacking favor on Coastline isn't as much as we thought it was statistically. So I think it's fair to say that Na'Vi still have a tough task ahead of them. And this is, you know, it's not like a last chance game. It's not as if the world is ending if they lose this, but it certainly doesn't put them in a good position knowing what they have to go up against and what the stakes are.
Yeah, now Coastline, as we've said, has historically been an attacker-sided map, the most attacker-sided map in the meta. That, mind you, overall, Siege at this level is defender-sided, so that was only like, you know, a 50-something% advantage. Ooh, here's an early engagement, maybe. Kendrew's so aggro. I hope they've droned all this out. They could have had a drone on each staircase. I assume so. I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt, but this early aggro might catch a player off. He doesn't shoot the camera until after he makes that aggro push. Smart move. Doesn't reveal his position. It deals a lot of damage to BB.
BB's still staying close by. He's actually prone, trying to shoot down under, and it'll be Fabian getting the first kill as he gets a C4 onto Joe, who seems to be victim to so many nades, but Doki's showing up. He's getting his revenge. Kendrew adding onto it as well. So Na'Vi suddenly looking much stronger. There's yet another C4, but Blur and Save still persist upstairs, with Kendrew taking the time to drone. Hungry's watching the bottom of the white stairs, and Goga still here on the site, but there's so much time left on the board.
Yeah, I mean, that was basically 1 minute of the round, and we're in a 4v2 rather. A lot of players on Na'Vi, very low HP though. Blur and Doki notably. Even those goo mines could be dangerous. Of course, the initial damage from those goo mines has now been negated. It's now 0, but if you stay in it for too long, it will start to tick that damage away. Blur, it means he doesn't have the flexibility. He'll have to pull out the goo mines straight away should he walk into one. At the moment, he's just looking above the site, trying to find these players, isolate these positions, but Hungry, of course, and Goga both have retreated from the site or droned out now, and they know this will have to be a clutch from Vitality on their first defense.
Again, an exhibition of patience, but Hungry's decided to get more aggressive as he goes for the run out, but no one was round on the service door, and Doki's going to be the one to go in for the plant. And now Vitality are in this kind of waiting game because they don't know where it is. It's in service, but they find themselves in a post-plant. Kendrew ready to completely take out Goga, and Doki follows up. Na'Vi looking much more strong on this half.
Really, really nice way to polish that one off for Na'Vi. And yes, they may have lost the opening engagement. Fabian once again taking down Joe. Can I point out that is the 3rd time this map that Fabian has killed Joe as the first pick. But hey, Na'Vi fought back, in particular Doki on that early push in through Penthouse, found 2 picks. Kendrew, who had really quickly pushed in through Hookah. I like the double hit onto the barricade and then shooting out the 2 tiny pellets means he can crouch through without destroying the barricade and hence making more noise. Great stuff there from Na'Vi. Put themselves in a 4 versus 2 with basically 2 minutes remaining, 1 minute 50. And that enabled them to just kind of drone out, isolate those last players. Because they were opening up the floor onto the objective, it meant that the two Vitality players retreated out of the bomb site. That then allowed Doki to push in, get the plant down with cover, and then it's just a post plant, which is basically unlosable for Na'Vi. Great stuff. And now Vitality move on over to Hookah, the objective that I have been super critical of since Ace's introduction. But guess what, Na'Vi? They're not bringing Ace. They're not bringing any hard breach whatsoever. They've seen that Thatcher ban. They're like, all right, we can't be bothered going downstairs and removing the wall denial. We're just going to play for map control, for frags, for dislodging these positions, and now execute. So, oh, well, whatever. I think it looks like Vitality is setting up to counter like an ace push. The breaches on the bar wall, the blue bar wall, would typically say that you're trying to prevent people from playing inside blue bar, which would be where the defenders the attackers rather would have to go to clear out any mute jammers on the wall and drinks. Yep, there you go. But yeah, Vitality is like countering a strategy that Na'Vi isn't even going to implement because they don't have hard breach.
It's funny almost because you kind of have this moment where you're like, wow, no hard breach. And then you remember it's coastline. And traditionally, this is no hard breach. And it's only recently that it's become more popularized with the advent of Ace. Because it was always traditionally Hibana who would get banned out and no one else was particularly viable. But Na'Vi already making their way in. At this point, okay, Boo, first one taken off. Yeah, I mean, I was gonna say, you know, Doki, he's starting to encroach on an area of the map that's been hotly contested by defenders so far, but it was actually Joe who got in there first.
Well, Na'Vi are nothing but eager, I'll tell you that much. They are getting in the building very, very quickly, much faster than Vitality. We saw Vitality being a much more methodical and kind of slow push, wary of aggression. Na'Vi, they don't give two craps about aggression. They're just going to push on in. They want to take the fights. They want this on their terms. And I really like that from them. That's the fire that we need to see from this team who have so much confidence in their gunfight, so many strong fraggers, but have struggled historically on attack.
You see Hungry's just trying to watch so many different angles at this point. And there's Na'Vi players above him as well in VIP. So if he were to walk under one of those holes that's been opened, that puts him at a much more risky position as well to be caught out by saves. So it just gives him all that more to watch out for. Doki moving on forward. Can't currently see anyone in Aqua, but again, Na'Vi don't want to be too overzealous, but you can still get a taste for the aggression that they like to play.
Numbers advantage is nice, but ooh, Rise allowed to get back to site. That's pretty impactful there. Of course, this position in drinks is super powerful. Blur, though, does take down Hunger. I think that was through the floor and saves another one. Suddenly, a 5 versus 2. This is so good here for Na'Vi, but Goga to flank downstairs, almost loses it, but does get it eventually. Fabian and him are going to have to clutch up big, but Fabian goes down all on Goga now. He's got the Vitality skin, but I don't think it'll save him. Saves is the one to close the round, and Na'Vi with 2 straight attacks.
I think it's time to take back what we were saying about Na'Vi struggling on attack, because so far on this map, they've looked a different team to what they were on the defense. Just so much more control in what it is they are doing. They look stronger in their 1v1s, because that was one of the big concerns that I had in the first half of the map was, yeah, Na'Vi can go to the right places, they can try and take the right engagements, but if you can't win out the 1v1s, you're always going to find yourself on the back foot. But it doesn't look like it's that way this time round.
No, things are looking a little bit different, and well, Vitality now with that the round count evening up, this is where you start to be concerned. They looked so dominant on attack. Even the attacks that they lost were very, very close, and I thought that they were going to win them. Now, Na'Vi have changed the tide. They are getting a lot of opening picks and opening advantages and winning these early trades. It's really putting them in a good position. And the thing I'm noticing about Na'Vi, as soon as they have an advantage, they just go. Like, they turn up the heat even more. They don't give Vitality a chance to say, all right, guys, 2v4, let's play it this way. I'm going to try and make a play here. No, Na'Vi is already peeking you while you're saying that. In particular, how Fabian was shut down in Hookah last round just goes to show how eager Na'Vi are. There is no hesitation. When they're ready to push, they are ready to push.
Absolutely. So down to Blue and Sunrise now. Hungry once again playing in and around Kitchen. It's a place he had a lot of pressure applied to him last time, and he could cut out some of the rotations available to the attackers if he's not pressured in the same way. Remember that Joe got the opening kill as well in the last round. So Na'Vi put themselves in an early advantageous position. It looks like Vitality, you know, they're leaning into this roam a bit more, ensuring that they have more control around the map rather than centering too close to the site and risking a similar thing where Na'Vi can just push up straight onto you. It forces you to take a lot of those engagements before you have the option to even make it to the site.
Yeah, and since Na'Vi have been playing for map control and getting in really early, really fast, it tells me that maybe they might miss something with one of their drones if Vitality play a bit cheeky. Ooh, does Rise have info? I heard him pre-place the C4. Kendrew might have actually taken out the C4. Yeah, indeed he did. You can see that ping on the roof. It was taken down. Nice play there. Utilization of the Twitch, a very uncommon pick. And, well, I think Saves just opened up the roof above him. So Rise starting to be put under the pump here, trying to hold offers. Surely he has to leave. He doesn't have a C4 to contest any longer. He really wants to find a pick, though, before he abandons. But Na'Vi aren't giving him the fight. Fabian goes down. Joe gets his revenge.
You can tell also the Rise is expecting someone to be just outside of office, but in the end, he has to rotate all the way away as the pressure just gets too much. Looking out for players who may come down cool vibes, which is exactly where Doki is, but over the half the round has been elapsed at this point, and it looks like it's fallen into Na'Vi's favor, at least somewhat. Doki starting to move round. He takes some damage, but it wasn't quite enough to have a kill secured. The Bibu does finally finish it off, and the Ash goes down.
That was so smart. Rise baiting, making Doki think it was a long-range fight, and then Bibu to swing. Doki may well have been scoped in, looking at the much longer angle when that happened. But look at this, Na'Vi, they're so keen and so close to get this blue bar plant going. Vitality, you can see Rise and Hungry both retaking lobby. That means they can use the courtyard position in the late round to deny plant. That's super pivotal. They also have the smoke still alive. A position we saw very similar when Na'Vi were on the defense, but Saves furthers the numbers advantage for his side, and Blur's here in lobby as well.
He could get the kill, but actually he doesn't. He gets the death instead. Na'Vi don't have enough time to go on some kind of late flank, especially as Joe is situated outside the blue window. And so Bibu's in a good position here to deny what he can from Na'Vi. But a beautiful kill from Kendrew brings Hungry down, and it's a 3 versus 5. Saves adds to it. A great shot right at the end. And Kendrew finishes off Goga. Na'Vi taking a 3rd attacking round.
That was so perfect for Na'Vi. They pulled something out of nothing. I completely lost track there. I think that was a 3 versus 3 for Na'Vi, and I thought that when Hungry had killed the Buck player in lobby, killed Blur and retaken that lobby control, I thought this is it. This is perfect. Now suddenly Vitality can deny a blue bar plant from holding in lobby, and they have the player in Sunrise, the Smoke, who was burning all the gas, trying to prevent a sauna take. That's the 2 main ingresses with which Na'Vi would use to get a plant down. And aside from planting, they've just got to go for kills, but Vitality gave them those gunfights. The player in lobby decided to abandon his post and go and flank through security. The player in office was well and ready, and Na'Vi just managed to collapse and take it out. Guess what, Chio? They have the round advantage for the first time this map. 5-4 to Na'Vi.
Oh, how the turns have tabled! I feel like I haven't said it in a while.
You have my permission. You have license to be saying how the turns have tabled.
Thanks. I think it's a bit late to give me permission, but I appreciate it nonetheless. And you're right, Na'Vi now in a pretty good position. Interestingly, who did you predict this game? Because I saw a number of people predicted draws.
Ooh. I probably said draw. Let's have a look. I'll bring up the old spreadsheet. I can see this going either way, or a draw. Like honestly, I'd be 30-30-30. I did say draw actually.
30-30-30 makes 90.
Yeah, I know, but I just didn't want to say 33.3 recurring, 33.3 recurring, 33.3 recurring, Gia.
You did now. Well, either way, the point is, it's actually turned out to be a lot closer than maybe we initially anticipated, judging how the first half went. Now, Na'Vi straight away opening up the surface entrance and throwing in the nades to burn out the ADSs. But it still looks like they're sending players upstairs. You've got to bear in mind there are 3 C4s on the side of Vitality, and there's the first. It'll catch out Kendrew playing on Twitch, who actually has been a pretty useful operator that Na'Vi had found so far.
Yeah, great usage of the util from Kendrew in the previous rounds, but obviously he's dead. He actually moved in from the exact same position he moved in previously. Potentially that C4 was enabled with a Valkyrie camera, I'm unsure. This hold in 90 upstairs. Doki's just waiting, and this goes to show Na'Vi they've been so keen getting aggro in these positions. Doki has the forethought to peek this. Does he see the gun? He does! He's gonna get the pre-fire. Surely this is gonna work. He sprints up around the corner. See you later, Bibu. Na'Vi have the man advantage. 140 on the clock, but still that player in theater. Surely they can take him down. Joe gets it on the action. There's eventually a refrag, but another 2 versus 3. And Vitality fighting once again from behind.
Still a significantly weakened Vitality. They throw out the C4, but it's not enough to secure anything. Hungry is severely lacking in health, and Na'Vi could come down at any point. With Blur outside the main entrance here, Hungry could find himself getting caught out in his line of sight should he decide to return to the site himself. It's a difficult position to be in. He's got to hope he doesn't get droned out as that first drone does come in. Now he's just looking for players who may be up towards VIP corridor. Goga still on the site, but there's a whole minute remaining that Na'Vi have to play with.
It's been the story of this game, hasn't it? Attackers get man advantage, and attackers have tons of time to work with. Goga, no C4s left. He feels like he needs to take the fight through the holes. He'd be at a disadvantage, but he knows he has to do it anyway. He's just about all out of options. Can he land the shot? That would make it a 2 versus 2, but the nade's going to come his way. He moves on out and dodges it just in time. Not punished as of yet. The time ticking away for Na'Vi, but they have that advantage. Hungry goes down. Joe to clean house. Na'Vi take us all the way to match points.
A beautiful round there from Na'Vi sends them into what looked like it could be impossible, at least highly improbable, just a few rounds ago. And now Vitality will be feeling the sweat running down their backs because they know this is too close for comfort. Vitality, who could have won their game on Monday off of their own efforts, but secured a win based on a technicality. So it didn't necessarily prove that that was theirs for the taking. And that's not me to take it away from them. But my point is that they are in a certain spot in the scoreboard right now that they probably thank their luck very slightly for. You get handed a win, it's a little better than having to fight for the win. And now they might be about to lose it.
I mean, Vitality will be the first ones to admit that they don't want free points, right? They didn't want to get that forfeit win from Empire on Monday, and now they're coming in like they're a bit cold, I guess you could say. They missed out on that game. Yes, they've been playing the French League, but it's something quite different, a very different beast. Coming in here against Na'Vi to have such a convincing first half, yeah, maybe a 4-2 isn't the most convincing scoreline you've ever seen, but the rounds as they went were so in favor of Vitality, but the story has been in reverse on Na'Vi's own attack. For the first time, I mean, these guys have struggled with attack. What do? Take it, go to coastline, guys. That'll do the trick. That'll help you out with your attacks. And I'm loving it right now. Na'Vi are looking revitalized and ready to go. A win here would make them jump. Guess what? They would be on 23 points over for 2020. They would jump over Vitality, over Tempera, over Secret, over Empire, and be 4th place overall in the 2020 standings.
That would certainly be nice. And one thing I keep thinking of is the interview that Doki did just a couple of days ago. Ouch, there's an early kill onto Joe, not what Na'Vi wanted. Now Kendrew's just trying to peek around, but there's so many members of Vitality in here, and Rise can clean him up as well. It looks like it's going to be a very difficult route of ingress if Na'Vi are to commit to this, but the diffuser is right there in the doorway. They've got to pick it up at some point. Doki just going in for what shots he can as Saves and Blur look for other avenues of entrance. And he can pick it up. That means he can get out of the situation. But what I was going to say is, thinking about the interview that Doki did where he said, we play better after a hard loss, I almost think that can be applied in this game to we play better after a hard half. Because they came back out after a difficult half, They probably had a great little mini pep talk with each other. They've come back, they've cleaned it up. Well, at least until this round, which hasn't been working so well for them.
But I do appreciate that they entered this round with gusto. They had 3 players stacked in sauna, ready for basically a rush. Now, 2 of them got shut down. I think that's the point where they're like, all right, guys, okay, maybe not. Nice nade through the floor. That's a cheeky trick there with the hammer, but Goga survives. Only a small amount of damage done. 120 on the round and 5v3. This is one of the only times this entire game that the defense has had the man advantage.
Is it going to be enough? We've seen what Na'Vi can do when they get aggressive, but the same can be said for Vitality, and having the man advantage means having more control. Na'Vi have already struggled to come in through the mudroom way, so they're going for this vertical kind of oppression. Hopefully they can clean out some of those players from above, but you see that almost all the players in Vitality have actually moved out of the site. Rise is there in blue, but no one's present in Sunrise, and they'll just get ready to swarm straight back in should Na'Vi make the move.
Look at that beautiful throw there from Goga to gas the default plant spot, but time still remains for Na'Vi, and those are the kills that they need to bring it back. 3v3 numbers back into a winnable situation. What is this? Absolutely disgusting. How are they making it work? Hungry now, a 1v2 for the game.
This is where it starts to turn around. Doking can go straight in with the plant, and Hungry's got to try and deal with that, but saves from Cool Vibes. He dealt with the problem, and Na'Vi had a redemption arc all of its own in this entire game, and finally take the victory.
From a 4-2 half where they looked absolutely lost on their defense to a flawless run on their attack, after failing to attack match upon match, this new Na'Vi roster is looking revitalized. They have taken down the #1 in Stage 2 of BDS. They've taken down the #2 in Secret, and now they've dispatched with Vitality. Na'Vi looking way back in form. And I take back everything I said. I apologize for all the roasts. You guys are goats. Enough said.
Yeah, the win that they desperately need, and in the process prove that they could revert back to their original roles and still get a victory. Na'Vi proving themselves to be a pernicious force here in EUL. But analysts, let's hear what you have to say, as that was a roller coaster of emotions of a game.